stay in Malaysia and at the ASEAN Summit in Kuala Lumpur, diplomats from Southeast Asian nations held talks with senior officials from the EU and the UK, focusing on trade and regional security. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio defended President Trump's tariff strategy, stating that unbalanced trade relationships needed to be corrected. Rubio confirmed that a new baseline policy would take effect on August the 1st, but left room for adjustments if deals are reached. He added that the US was warmly received and that talks have been positive overall. On being questioned if the recent tariffs would sour the relation with other nations, this is how Rubio reacted.
I don't agree with that assessment. I mean, look, at the end of the day, the United States has built these tremendous trade imbalances over the last 30 or 40 years. It's unfair to American and American workers, and American, in addition to threaten our industrial capacity. Trade needed to be revisited. The president campaigned on that, and that's what he's doing, and he's resetting it on a global scale. At the end of the day, look, I think countries are going to trade with multiple countries. We don't view this as an opening for anyone. We don't view it that way. We view it as an opportunity to reset global trade in a way that's fair for Americans after 2 or 3 decades of unfairness. If you look at some of these trade deficits, they're...
Well, thank you to Ross for staying with us. Of course, tariffs a huge topic globally at the moment after Trump's tariff action, not just the Liberation Day on the 2nd of April, but also then further announcement and change to rates with that new deadline of August the 1st. Ross, for Marco Rubio, he knew he was walking into the lion's den at this ASEAN Summit. So many nations that are present, of course, looking to arrange deals, discontent over the way that the Trump administration has handled tariffs and the economic impact that it's had. Do you think Marco Rubio has dealt with this well? And do you think we could see actual progress in deals off the back of this ASEAN Summit? Or is there a potential this is just further rhetoric?
The challenge for Secretary of State Rubio is he's not the tariff guy. He's not the guy heading up the trade negotiations. That's the purview of Secretary of Commerce Lutnick, Secretary of the Treasury Bessent, and U.S. Trade Representative Greer. So he's in a bit of a difficult position. Obviously, those countries in ASEAN who received letters earlier this week, they're not happy, and some of them are a bit surprised at the rate that was indicated by President Trump in those letters. And I'm sure they made that very clear to Rubio. And they probably also hinted that if the U.S. doesn't want to deal with us fairly, we'll make more deals with China, because China is an important trading partner for us. It's also a country that provides a lot of inbound investment, especially in infrastructure. So I'm sure Rubio heard all of that, and he's going to bring that message back to Washington, D.C., and to his cabinet colleagues who are heading up the trade negotiations. But certainly, he probably had some uncomfortable conversations.
Yes, Ross, of course, the situation around tariffs has been strained, and this deadline, August the 1st, announced by Scott Bessent, ratified by the Trump administration. But the door has been left open for amendments. We've seen Donald Trump use tariffs, in his words, as a negotiating tool to get people to come to the table and deal with this imbalance that the USA exists in global trade. Do you think that this will be a situation that we have revolving and moving forward, with discussions underway with potentially over a dozen countries at the moment? Could this be kicked down the dirt and keep rolling on for months to come, continuing that potential instability to global economics?
We know that Trump, as part of his negotiations over tariffs, he's very prone to changing his mind, lowering and then raising a proposed tariff rate. That's happened with Canada. It's happened with the European Union, and it's certainly very possible that it'll happen with trading partners here in the Asia-Pacific region. There is a different calculation, though, when it comes to Asia. And again, I think Secretary of State Rubio is going to bring this message back to Washington, D.C., and to his cabinet partners and to the president. And he's going to say, look, we need these countries on our side. We need to make sure that they're not taking China's side in any relevant disputes. And we want to make sure that we reach a good deal with them. Now, President Trump is very focused, though, on trade surplus. And he's going to look at which of these countries have a trade surplus with the United States, and the United States has a trade deficit. And his intuition, President Trump's intuition, is to swing far and impose a higher tariff. So there's probably some very heated discussions internally within the Trump administration, and I expect Secretary of State Rubio to be part of those discussions, even though he's not the decision maker when it comes to tariffs.
Yes, and finally, Ross, just to bring an end to this discussion on trade, where does this go next in your opinion? And do you think we will see tariffs of 30, 40, 50% on nations? Or do you think that we are seeing a general shift now towards getting a deal done and the focus being on trying to fix that imbalance from the US perspective? And then just to touch on that, what could the impacts be?
It seems that the trend is for smaller trading partners or countries, I should say, that don't have a strong political relationship with the United States at the moment. They might very well be facing 40% tariffs. So here in the Asia Pacific region, countries like Laos, which is very close to China, Myanmar, which because of the military coup doesn't really have much of a political relationship with the United States. It, again, like Laos, it has a very close relationship to China. The Trump administration might say, you know what, it doesn't matter. Small trade volume, they're too close to China, we'll hit them with 40%. But when it comes to countries like Malaysia, where this foreign ministers meeting took place this week, that's a very strategic country. There's a lot of competition between the United States and China for influence. And the same would apply with some other countries in this part of the world, like Vietnam, for example, like the Philippines. So the U.S. does have strategic reasons to make good deals with these countries and encourage them not to take China's side or to be more pro-U.S. than pro-China. And again, that's going to be Secretary of State Rubio's message that he's taking back to the other members of the cabinet who are dealing with tariff issues.
Yes, absolutely, Ross. Of course, global trade tensions have heightened amidst Trump's tariff action, but discussion ongoing between different countries, those with China, but also with other trading partners. We, of course, here on NewsX World will continue to bring you all of those updates as deals with nations like the EU, South Korea, Japan, and ASEAN nations